All right, here we go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy D'Souza, and I'm the moderator for this evening. Uh, Today's session from Formula Bharat is along with Aether Energy. This session is on the topic Soft Things About Hard Things, and it will be delivered by Mr. Ram Bhavaraju, who's the Director of Software and Web Technologies at Aether Energy. Ram comes with around 15 years of rich experience spanning the e-commerce, product, and IT industries. He has led multiple teams in his past roles and has scaled up software for some big names such as Paytm, Redbus, and Simplilearn. At Aether, he heads the software, cloud, data, mobile apps, and application development teams, which are responsible for developing customer-facing solutions. So without further ado, please let me introduce to you Ram. Ram, you can go ahead now.
Hey, hi. Thank you so much for the introduction. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Uh, I know it's very curious times to get started on such an environment and also in such kind of a situation. But I hope I'll be able to get some knowledge shared and probably also get some knowledge from all of you who are here to listen to this webinar or probably participate in this webinar. So I'll get started with this. Okay. Uh, so uh, so the whole presentation I have split it up into three parts. One is to just tell about who we are, what we do, and the kind of products what we have built, and then start talking about. If you see the topic itself talks about soft things, about hard things. So this is more in terms of in case if you're like if your software helps your product portfolio and you have a software first kind of a thinking when you're building like electric vehicles, how does it change the landscape of the product and how does it help to build more niche products is what probably it's just more of a thinking to start with, and most of the people in and around the industry doesn't have much of a knowledge, or probably the kind of knowledge what they have on what capabilities software would get in is like quite limited, even if they have an like a knowledge, but the knowledge is not transformed into building products outright. It always comes like an afterthought because the automotive industry predominantly comes from a manufacturing like a what do you say a historical manufacturing sector where the innovations were gone into more of how to manufacture rather than how to build product and build features into it. And over a period of time, this evolution started happening, especially when the software has become booming and the software has started changing the landscape, especially the Indian landscape in the last 10 to 15 years had changed quite a bit. We have seen like really, really great startups coming up and proving everywhere in the world that they have forward thinking. And how would that software impact your entire product portfolio and how do you build your own like electric vehicles is what I'm going to talk about. All right. So about Aether, to start with, who we are. So it's a 2013. It was founded by a couple of alumni from IIT Madras, that is Tarun and Swapnil, and it had been initially funded by Hero and even Sachin and Binny Bansos, the founders of Flipkart, were part of the initial funding round. The main product portfolio, what we wanted to build was on a fast, intelligent, and electric scooter. Intelligent is definitely the keyword over here, and also build a very very connected and a very very like probably advanced and good EV charging network. Our main focus areas were building this intelligent scooter and even EV charging networks. We are across India, all the major cities in India. We have market for all those major cities like Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, Ahmedabad, Kolkata, Kochi, and Coimbatore. We do have lots of patent applications in India and in international. We do have Indian design registrations. We got in international design patents also, and we do have a bunch of trademarks done in India. And we are currently about 800 plus, 850 plus employees, which span across our entire offices, our factory, and our marketing team, and also our experience centers. So we have two major product portfolios. The one on the left-hand side, what you see is Aether 450, which is already uh, which is launched and which is in the market from the last 2 years. And the Aether 450X is the new product which we launched early this year. And and this product is the new one which you are working on, and this is going to set a new benchmark in the product portfolios of Aether itself. And I just want to give a quick highlights of what would 450X be different from what we have done for 450. We actually, this is definitely a faster scooter, and it has like a very good top speed, a great 4G connectivity. We have a fully built 7-inch touchscreen dashboard, and it is absolutely intelligent in every sense. It is probably, you can compare that with any of the smartphones you have, and it is definitely smarter in that sense. We do have Bluetooth connectivity. It has very good range for electric vehicle. It has onboard navigation. It has a parking assist, which is one of the features of Aether right from the start. And the major thing is that we have total control on the bike, whether it is an on-field or whether it's with the customers, so that we can do over-the-air upgrades. And that is one of the beauty of the connected tech, or probably the soft things of a hard thing like a bike over here. So, okay, now moving on to the main topic, that is now I was talking about soft things, about hard things. And I also spoke about how could we get this the technology thinking, or probably the software or technology, software like oriented technology thinking into a product portfolio, and how would it help the portfolio and the kind of products what you build and the kind of features you would want to build when you're looking at electric vehicles. So that is the reason I want to look at how could technology be an enabler rather than becoming an app, like an afterthought, as you see in majority of the use cases around us. All right. These are few of the highlights what I've picked up from what we have, or typically what we do, and how did our technology as an enabler or technology first kind of a thinking help build Aether scooter. So we have like, as I said, a fully grown 7-inch interactive touchscreen dashboard. It is absolutely interactive. It has lots of useful information. It also gives you information to troubleshoot your own bike in case if you have any issues with it. So that kind of interactive dashboard is what we have. We do have an onboard navigation, and it also syncs up with your mobile app, and you can actually track. You can also send these map directions and all that stuff using this onboard navigation. And we have the major thing, that is over-the-air updates, and we do have uh, almost 100% control on what we update and how do we update. Even a few of those use cases like remote diagnostics is possible, and we do that remote diagnostics, and if you find any issues on field or probably with the customer and customers reach out to us, we do have this over the air updates which help the customers troubleshoot either by themselves, or probably our technicians help them remotely also. That is definitely a way forward for Aether Bike. And then we have this connected mobile app. Whatever you see on dashboard, not only that you would get to see on the mobile app, but you also get to see lots of other statistics or lots of other metrics on your bike. Like there are salient features which have been developed based on the way you ride the bike, the way you handle the bike, or probably the way you're using this electric bike. And all these salient features have been bundled up and put into mobile app. And this mobile app is absolutely user friendly, and the customer who is having our bike would get this mobile app and would get to see lots of good things about their bike. They also get to see like maintain their bike in a very good way because of the kind of metrics what we give, or the kind of features what we have built for the customer to be enabled. Then we have this connected charging experience similar to our connected bike, where we have all the intelligence built and all the intelligence is shared with the customer on the vehicle and also on the app, which is over and above what you see on the vehicle. Similarly, we have a connected charging experience. All our charging centers or charging ports are absolutely connected, and we do have all these capabilities of over-the-air update and send all the useful information about charging. It's just not about And the charging infra is just not the public charging, but it is also at places like at your own home location where you are using your charging your charger home chargers, and we also get to see how are your chargers working, and are they working to their best efficient way or not. And all these systems are absolutely connected, and all of them actually do talk to our systems at the back end, and they do talk in real time to get to share all the data, and all the data is shared into our platform where we enrich the data and we find all these useful insights into it. All right. Technology as an enabler. So when I take this topic up, what is that comes to my mind is connected tech. If you see, this is probably the buzzword. The last 2 years, I've heard this like several times, especially in the car manufacturing. Lots of cars, whether the ICE cars also have come up with connected tech. There are SUVs, there are cars who are coming up with this connected tech, and they're calling it as connected tech. So this is not a new term as such, but if I take connected tech, what could those like the enablers are probably those key highlights for the connected tech is what I want to touch upon here. What would connectivity highlight you, or what are those areas in which the connectivity would enhance your product, or probably what you have to think at the time of development of the product itself. So that is where I wanted to dive into connectivity highlights. The purpose of it is to definitely connected tech. When I say it, it is a transmission of data between any vehicle you take into the cloud, and capability to manage the over-the-air updates. And this is definitely two of the major capabilities what you have to build. And everyone thinks that it's a very straightforward just transmission of data. Anyone can transmit the data, and over-the-air updates. Now we have smartphones; it's very easy. But these are while it seems very easy, if you don't have your products built for handling these capabilities, it gets more and more cumbersome. And the kind of control what you would have on your vehicle, or the kind of experience what you want to give it to the customers, or the potential customers, or the potential audience what you want to work for, uh, uh, would not come in, and this would always come like an afterthought, and it would come more like an accessory rather than building it into the product. That is the reason connectivity highlights these two things. One is the how do you transfer the data, the entire game of transmission, and how do you have the capabilities, or probably build those capabilities and manage the OTA. So there are two things which are very important. The one is the transmission. The second one is the over-the-air updates, or managing how to manage your vehicles from a remote location. So when I come to the key feature of it, that is the edge connectivity. So how do you transmit the data using an edge device? So you transmit the data, and then you also build features of how do I locally storage. How do I build intelligence in that edge connectivity device by using this like technology, or probably using that software, which could enhance my overall experience of connectivity. Probably look into something like local storage to mitigate the network disturbances. And this is one of those areas which is extremely critical and extremely crucial. Also, if you take any of these connected tech devices, they are very limited in terms of their processing capabilities, or the amount of RAM, that is random access memory, what they have onboarded. They use with the cheapest of the devices because of the cost cut, and because this always comes like an afterthought. But if you go with that kind of devices, you're always limited to what it can function, and you would always see people complaining about, hey, yeah, I have this beautiful 18-inch touchscreen, but it hangs up quite a bit. Whenever I connect using USB, my Android Auto, or my Android Auto, or whatever those apps, what you call them as, all those apps are not working. I'm not able to see how it works and all. All this is happening because the edge connectivity device, or the edge connectivity, the entire gamut of edge connectivity is not being thought through. And that is one of the reasons that you would get into that kind of a problem. Then we'll move on to the another key feature what I spoke about when I'm highlighting the connectivity was the OTA updates. So this is again one of the critical pieces. Now that you have a device, and device is sitting there and it's connected, it has 4G capabilities, it's able to send the data, receive the data. Now the sending and receiving the data, and receiving the right amount of data or right amount of update is extremely important. For that, we need to have enable capabilities to send the OTA packages. The packages are actually built, and it can be compressed to smaller size, but how do you manage it? How do you send it? How would you be able to manage the entire life cycle of this OTA? How would you be able to roll back to previous versions if you have any issues? And also, how would you be able to actually do testing on those vehicles in before you roll out to everyone? This is not like a typical software environment where, like, if I take any of these big players like Microsoft or Google and all, they do beta testing and it is open for a set of people. And sometimes they don't do the beta testing, but it's the product is out there, and then people give a feedback saying that, "Hey, it's not working the way it is supposed to work." And when it comes from that kind of a software environment, the OTA, where it is okay to go and roll back, and coming to something like a vehicle where it impacts the customer who's using it, is extremely critical to have that control updates. And what is the technology, or what kind of technology aspects we have to look into is extremely important. That is the reason we have to have full control on the OTA updates. Moving on. So in the connected tech, I wanted to now highlighted those two important things. That is the connectivity itself, the edge connectivity or the edge connected devices, and how do you do OTA, and how do you think about doing OTA itself? OTA is just like a simple word which comes out saying that, hey, everyone does an OTA, but lots of tech goes behind it. How do you package it? How do you send it? So now I want to probably double click on that connected tech and get into the connected ecosystems. So when I said the edge transmission, and I also said about OTA, right? It talks predominantly about three main aspects of it. One is the entire connect piece of it. What does the connect piece allow you to do? Then the control piece of it, which is your typical OTAs and how do you manage OTAs? What is that kind of control you can give using OTAs? And the third piece, which is the most important, that is what values you as a product. That is what values you as a company, is the analyze piece. That is where you are getting a bunch of data. Now you have set up a right transmission of data, and you are also receiving data back, or probably some amount of information from your backend to your vehicles, and you're able to do something with it. Now you have to analyze it, and this is where it changes the entire game. And this is where software or the soft things help quite a bit. So even in the connect part of things, the major thing what the connect has to do is the real-time monitoring, right? So that is where the edge connectivity comes into the picture, where the real-time monitoring is absolutely important. The edge connectivity itself is a bigger topic, where you are able to find out the right device which fits in. Secondly, the kind of connectivity solution you want to go up with. How do you actually send the data from your edge device all the way to your cloud, so that you can analyze or probably build in more features. Then the third thing is that when I have a connected ecosystem, right, and when I'm able to connect, because I'm able to do edge connectivity, I'm able to do a couple of very, very important things. That is, one is I'm able to real-time monitor both from the vehicle side of things and also from my cloud side. That is on my the cloud infra side. Then once I get this data, and once I'm able to transmit this data in the right format, the biggest factors which would drive the entire industry is the vehicle management. Whether you're an individual who's owning the vehicle, uh, or probably a fleet owner who's owning this vehicle, or probably logistic people who are owning a bunch of vehicles. The one thing what you want to do is with your vehicle is, how do you manage your vehicle? Whether it could be your timely service updates, whether you want to see where your vehicle is, or whether you want to navigate to the nearest place, or track the location of few things, or simple things, right? If I look at the connected tech, lots of people are talking about geofencing the vehicle. I want to geofence if it goes beyond so and so coordinates. I want to find where is my vehicle going towards. Then people are talking about, how do I remote start my vehicle? How do I manage probably the air conditioning, or probably the lights inside my vehicle before even I enter into it? So all this comes as part of your vehicle, the vehicle's connectivity tech, and this is where the connected ecosystem comes into the picture. The edge connectivity device plays a huge role in this. The edge connectivity device itself is a big thing. Then the real-time monitoring gives you where is your vehicle, what are the stats of the vehicle, what is the data which the vehicle is able to send out. Then your vehicle management system comes into the picture, where from it's like a dual channel, single. When I say dual channel, it's two-way communication. Your vehicle communicating to the cloud, and the cloud communicating to the vehicle. So when I say about vehicle management, this is where the cloud is communicating to the vehicle. So think about you're on a mobile phone and you want to open the mobile phone and send some instructions to your vehicle. And now this cannot travel directly from your mobile phone to your vehicle, right? So this is what the two-way communication is what we talk about. So that is where the vehicle management plays a very, very important or a key role in it. So now we have the connect and we have looked at the features which would enable connectivity and which would differentiate and probably the technology would enable it much further. Now we are looking at how do we control it? So we spoke about the connectivity highlights, that is your edge connectivity and your OTA are the major two things which would help you build a great connected ecosystem. Then we spoke about Connect and few of those feature highlights inside Connect. Now these are the feature highlights in control. The obvious thing is OTA, over the air upgrades. Uh, then over the air upgrades, then you have one other important thing is configuration. You should be able to build a vehicle or probably have this in when you're building the vehicle itself, probably have this knowledge on how do I ensure that I don't have to do too many OTAs also. Think about this, right? If I want to uh, do OTA, regular OTAs, right? I have to build a vehicle in such a way that or the software modules inside the vehicle in such a way that they are super configurable and they are modular as possible so that whichever module I would want to update, I just have to change the configuration. And now my OTA package size would be very, very less. Think about why the OTA packages are very important. One is that your vehicle is sitting in a remote location and it is working on some connectivity, whether it could be Wi-Fi, predominantly is the 4G, 3G, 4G, and 5G connections are probably Wi-Fi in some areas. But this package, which is going from your cloud, has to go to this vehicle, and this vehicle has to download the entire package and run the package to do the updates. And every time if you send a bulk package, the entire software module itself, it defeats the purpose of what the air upgrades. Your package updates should be as simple as possible, and it shouldn't have like MBs of data to be transmitted from your cloud to your vehicle because that is data cost obviously for your vehicle and also for your cloud for like ingressing and egressing the data packages. Also, second thing is that these packages itself, the failure rates would become much higher when you have a larger package to be downloaded, and then you have to build several capabilities into your connected ecosystem itself to ensure that the packages do deliver and there are any issues in package delivery. How do you re-trigger the packages or how do you like store that amount of data locally, and how do you like ask for the server to send rest of the package? So there are lots of things you need to think about. So if you so okay, over there upgrades are there. Yes, connectivity is being pretty good. And had developed a very good infrastructure in terms of network connectivity. Still, OTA, when you come to OTA, when you come to OTA, right, the update should be as minimal as possible, but the impact should be as big as like it could change important modules at a very ease of updation. That is where your configuration comes into the picture. If you're able to, for example, I'll just take about electric vehicle as an example. And I have this vehicle dashboard, and the dashboard is showing on navigation. It's showing some ride stats, or it's showing some important information or telemetry about my vehicle. What is my vehicle doing? What is the overall ambient temperature? What are the temperature of the engine is, and all that stuff. Now I wanted to send in a few additional features where I can turn on and off inside my vehicle dashboard itself, where I wanted to now change the theme of the entire dashboard because the dashboard color or theme, the customers started asking us saying that, hey, why didn't you change the entire theme? Or why didn't you change the color background of my vehicle dashboard? If your configuration defines that the vehicle dashboard can have these are the vehicle dashboard as a configuration or a config variable which says, hey, the config by default everyone would get a white background, and now your customers can go and choose from their mobile app saying that, okay, I don't want my white background, but these are the other possibilities what I can have gray, I can have green, I can have red, or I can have a black, or I can have a dark theme. And then customers will go and say, hey, I want to have a dark theme. And now this is where the configuration really helps, because the OTA package is quite simple. It's simple, says that hey, this is the model where the update has to happen, and this is the value for which the configuration has to be set. So now the package goes there. This is just for one vehicle for that customer. The mobile app, from the mobile app, the customer would be able to change it. The moment the customer changes it, it goes to the cloud and then goes as a simple update only to that particular bike, and that changes it. See the advantage in having such a thinking right from the start. If you're able to envision your product or whatever you build around the connected tech in such a way that you should be able to give that amount of flexibility to the customer, that gives you lots of customer experience, really good customer experience. And also not only that, as a product or as a product portfolio, you would be as modular as possible so that you can gamify the usage of your products. It's very important to gamify. Gamifying is something like an industry term what we use for where people are able to change things. So configuration is absolutely important in that sense. There is also one other important aspects of this control, that is the remote diagnostics. So if my vehicle is transmitting this data and I'm able to get some data on my mobile app, or probably to my call center, or those people who are looking at my vehicle from the back end, and they're able to see some amount of issues with your vehicle which is happening currently. And as a user or as a customer of that product, I would want to diagnose what is happening with on my vehicle. And these are electric vehicles, and there are few things which you could check by yourself, right? And think about, you are opening your own mobile app, or you're going to your own like your own customer portal, and then opening your portal or opening your mobile app and saying, okay, I want to see what is happening with my bike. My for example, my bike or my car is not starting now. I should diagnose what is happening, what could be the potential issue. And this is where the remote diagnostics actually help. What we could do is that in the control part of things, remote diagnostics would send some commands into the vehicle, and the vehicle, if it is live and if it is able to connect, would be able to send some data back to it. Because now it's like again a two-way channel. The mobile app is the customer or your service technicians or your backend customer support people are doing this troubleshooting, and this is your vehicle where it is sitting, and they are doing some amount of remote diagnostics to find out what is it giving. And this transmission of data, if you see, and they're able to get some amount of information remotely, and this helps quite a bit in entire vehicle management. So this gives you super control on how do you build the vehicle. Even for you to happen, for you to do this right, you need to have the capabilities built on the vehicle side, how to troubleshoot this remote diagnostic, and how to take in commands, and how to get that control into the vehicle itself. This is not your typical OT or a configuration kind of thing. This is kind of getting the complete control onto the vehicle on from both sides in a very secured and a very what do you say, a very tested and a secure way, where you are able to do some amount of remote diagnostic without even taking it to your service technicians and all. By the way, just not the electric vehicles, even for the ICEs, right? There are manufacturers or the premium manufacturers do that. They give that kind of capabilities where where the customers would be able to do some amount of troubleshooting on what is happening, or they give that kind of error codes or probably error messages which are customer friendly, and the customer would be able to remotely diagnose what is happening with their vehicle at that point in time. So this is what I wanted to talk about control. And now we move to analyze. So we are able to connect, we're able to see all the key considerations, key features we have to consider when we are doing a connected ecosystem using that connect module. Then we had a control module which was talking about what are the key things what you need to these are I'm not saying these are only things you need to look into, but these are definitely the key things what we have to look into when we are building such a portfolio. And this is where the software thinking or the technology first thinking really helps you out. And now I'm coming to the analyze part of it. So now you have a bike or a car or a truck, whatever it is, a vehicle, and then it is able to connect and it is able to control from both the sides. Now now these are the things which the customer sees, and this is where your product gets sold. So this is the analyze part of it. And few of the things what we look into, right? If I see, I looked at this as An example, looking at all the logistic companies around us, and probably the ride sharing companies like Bounce or Ola or Uber and all. Uh, if you see if you take them as an example, all those ride sharing companies or cab sharing companies, they do have this connected tech. It is not visible to any of the customers, but it is definitely visible to the one who is managing the entire fleet. They do look at multiple factors and they do look at multiple information points. And few of the most what do you say, most usable or most customer friendly kind of things are rider behavior, how do you optimize the usage, and the other thing is that the anomaly detection itself. Anomaly detection in terms of analyzing. How do you analyze that there could be potential anomaly or probably the errors what we are coming or the kind of messages what you're getting from the vehicle are detecting some amount of anomaly. So we'll talk about rider behavior. How would that fit into the analyze module? The rider behavior is bunch of stats which are coming from that vehicle. And once we get that vehicle, all those stats in real time, we tend to run this the machine learning algorithms, which is typically done. You can look at use cases like Uber, Ola, even you can look at use cases like Bounce. What they do typically is that they take all this pre-built vehicles, put some IoT device into it, and then they just collect the rider behavior. But now think about you're building your own product portfolio, and this is a connected tech ecosystem. And if you really want to work on something to analyze and enhance the behavior of the entire the customer, and also enhance the customer experience, that is where the analyze part of things are very, very important. So few of the key features are right behavior, as I said, right behavior optimize and anomaly detection. Rider behavior, when I talk about this, the amount of data which comes out of the vehicle will be huge every few seconds based on how do you want to receive the data, at what capacity you are able to handle the data. You'll get a ton of information about how is your vehicle doing. Uh, and most of these vehicles, whether it is IC or EV has 100%, I would not say 100%, but about 80 to 90%, everything is connected and it can be connected via these edge connectivity, whereas ICs has very limited connectivity in terms of independent working modules inside the vehicle. So you get bunch of parameters from multiple different areas, and all these areas are sending like hundreds of parameters on a very, very small time frame. So when I look at the time frame, right, if I just take a small snapshot of about 10 seconds, I do get like a bunch of parameters. For example, my vehicle could send about almost 1200 parameters at any interval of 5 seconds. Now I have to analyze our entire 1200 parameters to understand which of these 1200 parameters would give me sensible information or useful information, because we cannot take all the 1200 parameters and then put them and start analyzing, which would become absolutely humongous task in two reasons. One is that the amount of data to be actually analyzed will become big. The data sets itself will become very, very big. And second thing is that wow, most of this information, most of these parameters might not be useful for a customer, or why might not be useful for the feature you want to build. So, so when you want to look at this analyze part of things, right? Each of these key features, what I was talking about, the key highlights, what you want to touch upon, right? Here, when you build this connected tech, most importantly, what you have to say is that, okay, my vehicle is sending a bunch of parameters. I have to get a relevance of what are those parameters based on what is that I want to give to the customers, or what is that I want to track as a manufacturer, or whenever I give it to a fleet management or probably a logistic people, how would they be a value, or how would they get a value add from the data what is coming out of my vehicle? And this has to go into the thinking of analyze module. So the analyze is just not about analyzing the data which is coming out of the cloud, but also about what kind of data I could send it to the cloud, and how could the cloud get useful information from it and would be able to bring in these kind of features out. And this is absolutely to be built in, and it cannot come as an afterthought, because once you build your vehicle and once you build a connectivity platform, you cannot go back and say, hey, no, I need extra parameters I'm missing on these. Okay, I need this other information from so and so part. I'm not getting it now. Can I go and figure it out? It means that it requires you to go back. You have to trace back all the way from entirely build product and go back all the way to that module and update that module, and which will impact your entire product portfolio itself. So it's very, very important. It's definitely quintessential to have this analyze as part of your ecosystem itself, where you would be able to say, okay, these are the set of things which I would like target, and these are probably the futuristic possibilities from it. And then you would get to see what all the parameters which the vehicle is able to send, and what it requires to build something like this, like right behavior, optimized usage, or anomaly detection. So I'll just take anomaly detection as an example here, and I would probably want to give that like as an example, so you would understand how would analyze the thinking would go into product portfolio itself. Now you want to detect anomalies, and this anomalies would come from my edge device, and I would be able to send this data transmitter to the cloud. I have a bunch of modules, about 30, 40 of them on multiple sensors inside my vehicle. Now, all these sensors are sending some data to me, and I'm collecting the data on my vehicle itself, on the vehicle dashboard itself. And the vehicle dashboard is sending the data back to my cloud. Now, I'm getting bunch of information, sending it to the cloud. There are 12 different modules here, for example, and the 12 modules are sending about 150 parameters each. And out of this 150 parameters, what all these 12 modules are sending, first and foremost is that how do I find out which of these parameters are key parameters which would give me an information whether that particular module is able to give like a OK code or a probably error code. So that is the first thing which you would map from your edge device itself, where the edge device would be able to identify some amount of anomaly right and then and there. Why is it important? Is that you have to build that into an edge device. For example, your vehicle's battery is draining very, very, very fastly. You don't want it to go up to the cloud, then analyze and say, hey, your battery is draining out, right? You would want that intelligence to be built into your vehicle dashboard itself. You want to have that kind of analysis done on your vehicle itself. And the vehicle should immediately say that, hey, something wrong with the way you're using vehicle, or probably something wrong with your own battery, or something wrong with your electronics. They're not working the way it is. So you have to find. So now an anomaly is detected at the source itself, and this is where you would say, hey, these are all the major anomalies where I would immediately warn the customer or the user of my vehicle then and there. Then it sends rest of all the data. The same data would also be sent to the cloud. Now the cloud would again get this data, analyze and say, okay, this is higher priority anomaly, or this is a lower priority anomaly, or this is probably least priority anomaly, where I can just give it more like a friendly message rather than giving it as like a red alert or a warning. So this anomaly detection has to be thought through. It has to be built in into your edge connectivity device or your vehicle itself. And how would you configure it? How do you maintain that anomalies? How do you keep updating them if you find new things? So all these things have to go into this analyze module. And then once you have that thinking, and these are the things which my vehicle can potentially give, and you're able to cover a decent amount of use case, about 80-90%. You don't, no one can get to 100% because we cannot forethink about what kind of errors would come, right? So at least to confidently start with, we would say probably 80-90% of my use cases of anomaly detection could be done and benchmark at certain point, or using some parameters that would give you a great analysis kind of thing, because you could actually flag the customers, enrich the entire customer experience itself. And so that is the example I had for analyze. All right. So I spoke about how would tech as a technology as an enabler would help in the entire product portfolio. It touched upon connectivity highlights, touched about the three modules which we could think about when you want to think software first, or software or technology first kind of an approach. And then how would it change the future of EVs? How would technology become the super enabler for the future of EVs? So the state of charge definitely is specifically designed for automotive applications, right? And this is something where the entire future of electric vehicles would start focusing on, and majority of the people are working on this one. Even if you take something like mobile phone, smartphone manufacturer, right? Over the years, they have also worked upon how would the state of charge would be, or their own charging, the way the phone charges, or the fast chargers, the way it charges now, right? All these things have evolved quite a bit, and especially in automotive. state of charge applications would be like very, very important. I mean, that is where the future of EVs would be in. Then we also look at how would technology enable something to support the power efficiency, probably what would be the extreme ambient performance, and also the size of it. Based on this is again coming from how is your data telling about your current product portfolio? What are those data points what you collected from your data from your vehicles, and how is it helping you to think about building those key features or key technologies or key enablers into your future. And the obviously the most intriguing and probably the most sorted out is the cheaper and faster ways of communication. If you see, as the telecom industry evolves and we move from generations of this connectivity, right? One thing which the end customer is looking at, or probably as a manufacturer, manufacturer, probably someone who's working on this EVs should look into is how do we like find a cheaper and faster ways of communication. And this requires a volume of like applications to be built, or probably a network of modules to be built, right from your vehicle. How does your vehicle connect, and what are those tools to be used for connectivity? How is your network doing? How do you build your network infrastructure so that it is not rigid? It is absolutely flexible when you change between generations. And how would you receive the data? And how does your cloud or probably your enterprise servers help you out in that sense? So that is one other area which is definitely going to be one of the big talking points when I look at future of electric vehicles. All right, so that comes to end of my presentation. So
Hi, Ram. Thank you so much
yeah,
for that very
thank you.
detailed and interesting presentation. We do have a few questions from some
Sure.
of our students on the chat on YouTube. So we'll get out the first question, which is by Tejas Banwal.
Hmm.
His question is, what is
Hmm.
the purpose of the touch screen if the driver would be busy, on the accelerator?
That's a good question. Driver is definitely busy, but the touchscreen is like it's just not about when you're driving you wanted to keep clicking on the touchscreen, right? It's about the touchscreen when you're off driving. You would have to interact with your vehicle, and how do you interact it? And you have to have a touchscreen. I cannot give you a mouse or probably give a USB where you can scroll it, right? That will become like a big no-no kind of an accessor. And all of us are using smartphones, and our smartphones are way much powerful than your laptops and your like desktops, right? In such a world, if I give you like joystick kind of controls, how would it help? I mean, the answer to that is you would always want to relate some. When you see something on your dashboard, you would always want to touch and feel it. Even if you look at your laptop, right? If I give you a laptop now, you definitely go and touch on the screen and see if it's a touch screen or not.
Great, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Our next question is, what kind of cellular packages does Aether use for OTA and cloud connectivity in this connected ecosystem with remote diagnostics? What kind of hardware do you use for this? If you want me to repeat the question, let me know.
Yeah, no, I understood. The hardware is, I mean, we don't use specifically, we don't build hardware as for this connectivity, right? These are off-the-shelf hardware we get. I mean, like for example, your network connectivity modules or network connectivity, like your eSIMs or SIMs are given by like OEMs like Vodafone or Airtel or Geo. We use the standard stuff. We don't use specifically any specific hardware and all. These are all off the shelf. Even the IoT devices and all, you would easily find it from any other manufacturer.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you touched upon cellular packages as well, or was that covered already?
Cellular package is covered because as I said, we are using off the shelf something like a Geo 4G. That's it. We don't have any specific things to be done because we are using off the shelf Vodafone or an Airtel or like a Geo kind of a network. So we don't have we don't build that cellular package actually, because the problem what we are trying to solve is not the cellular package, but the problem is how do we use the generically available network connectivity things, and how do I build that into my product portfolio? Because even my smartphone is using the same cellular connectivity, right? my vehicle has started using the same one, and how do I make the connectivity is seamless.
Okay. Our next question is from Just Shah.
Mhm.
Does Aether directly send the firmware update to the bike, or do you update your mobile apps and then the mobile app sends those updates to the corresponding vehicle, like indirectly?
No, it's direct. So the updates, like all the major updates, like your phone manufacturer sends directly to you, you directly send it. Mobile app is more of the customizations of what you want to do, which is very very particular to that customer. Or probably you, if you go to our website and look at our product portfolio, we do have subscription plans where you can switch between different subscriptions where you get different features or different what do you say product features. For that, the mobile app is used, but those are very very small features. But the OTA happens, and then what is we call it as the firmware OTA, that is directly done by us.
Okay. Our next question is from Nikhil Shetty. How
Mhm.
has the journey been in implementing telematics for the scooter since the first prototype of your scooter?
That's an interesting one because the thinking into the product portfolio had gone much before the vehicle had been built. Our company had tested for almost close to about 7 lakh kilometers in real world, and that is when the telemetrics or telematics have been built. So we have done exhaustive testing to find out what are those telemetry or telematics we want to use to enhance the entire product portfolio. This has to goes behind much before our prototype was built.
And he continues to ask the advancements made in the hardware for the same.
Advancements made in the hardware for the telematics.
Yes.
Um, Advancements, I mean, we have again, we have not changed the actual telematics. We have definitely controlled the way the telematics and we have controlled the entire life cycle of telematics. We have not probably went and done some advancements. We have definitely gone with what is available over there in the market, get it and enhance the entire what do you say, the features of it, or probably enhance how to use it.
Okay.
I hope I answered this question.
All right. I'm sure Nikhil will type more questions over there if he
Yeah.
has more
Sure,
queries.
sure.
Our next question is from Rahul Mishra. His
Uh-huh.
question is, what exact cell chemistry do you prefer for any electric vehicle? Maybe Aether 450X if I ask.
Cell chemistry.
Yes.
This question probably, I would not be the right person to
Not
answer
in this
because
one.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm from the software side of things. Sorry, I wish I could help you out, but I have to get a chemical engineer from my team, and definitely they can connect with us. They can
For
drop an
sure.
email to Aether, and we will be able to help them out.
That's okay. It makes sense. Let's move on to Sanjit Franklin's question regarding charging facilities. Would Aether be setting up separate stations for this, or would it make more sense to depend on a third party to set up this infrastructure?
Actually, we have set up all the public charging ports by ourselves, and it is definitely there in Bangalore and Hyderabad, Bangalore and Chennai, sorry, and it's coming to all the major markets what we are entering into. We have not really, as a thinking, right, as a thinking right from our prototype all the way to the products which are there in the market. We have always been relying on the technology what we have developed, and that went into each of the products what we build, whether it is the bike, whether it's the connectivity module, or probably the charging experience itself. So we do maintain and install everything by ourselves.
Okay, great. There's a lot of questions coming in. I mean, every time
Sure,
I
sure.
think there's the
We have,
last question, there's more.
yeah.
Um, so
You can probably go up to like the
I
first
say,
question and go downwards probably. Yeah.
so we have from Riya Gupta. What is the
Uh-huh.
communication protocol used for maintaining the connectivity between the dashboard and the rest of the components in the vehicle?
Dashboard and the rest of the components in the vehicle. So they all so typically the connectivity happens using this ECUs, which are called electronic control units, and they are all wired connections. So within and the question was about vehicle, the dashboard and the different components, right?
Yes, between the dashboard and the rest of the components of the vehicle.
Yeah, that is, they're all connected. Yes, there are control units, and the control units connect to different modules, and it comes to a common place called as a hub, and that hub kind of talks to the vehicle dashboard.
Okay, and we've got a question from Satvik Reddy. In the
Mhm.
rainy season, do you have any concerns with the touchscreen?
Not really, because I mean, again, this is not new. We were not built like these are already there. IP68 rated, water resistant. We get phones, all your iPhones, your Android phones, all your smartphones, everything has the same thing. We have the same water resistant things.
This question is from Shreya Agarwal. For an instance in data acquisition system for an EV, which one should be preferred for telemetry, cloud computing, or available frequency and range specific RF modules?
This is on. I mean, if I'm not wrong, she's asking about. Can you just repeat the question again? Because
Yes, yes.
it looks like it's an electronics question. So I just want. I don't know if you can. I mean, just go ahead. Could you just
Yes.
repeat it?
So she says her question is for instance in data acquisition system for an electric vehicle, which one should be
Okay.
preferred for telemetry, cloud
Mhm.
computing, or available frequency and range specific RF modules?
So now I got it. She wants to talk about. So for example, so data acquisition like was the term I was looking at. I mean, her question, if I'm not wrong, she's asking about. I want to like send the data. Which of these are the preferred ways of doing it? It completely depends on you as a company or you as a product. Cloud computing is definitely cheaper. There are lots of publicly available clouds which are available, like all those major players like Google, Amazon, Azure, IBM, Dell. All of them give lots of good cloud computing tools and technologies, and all of these are off the shelf and like do it yourself. Most of it is like you, even if you have about over 20-30% of sense of what is technology, you should be able to keep it up and running very, very quickly. If you're looking at something keeping up and running very, very quickly and you want to have a proper connected system, then I would prefer Cloud Connect. Or else I would look at something like an RFC, just for the reason that you don't want to have that kind of like the Cloud Connect, but just want to manage it locally.
Okay, great. We have a question from Nikhil Shetty again. A
Hmm.
question on Aether dashboard. The tablet used for display and an integrated processor, GPRS, or a separate module has been used for each of the former. Wait, I didn't understand the question myself.
Okay.
I guess he meant
I don't know
has
if it's
been.
a question or probably a sentence.
Okay, there is a question mark at the end, so I
Yeah, it's a
believe it's.
sentence, but it's a sentence. Yeah, it's a it's a self answering sentence. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a GPS GSM module. It's the same. The sentence is complete. Yeah, I would say.
um, so I believe that is our last question then actually for this session.
Sure,
So Ram, once again, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much
no problem,
for
no
putting
problem.
this
Thank you so
together,
much.
and thank you to Aether Energy. Wait.
Mm.
We do have one question from
Sure, sure, go ahead.
Sparsh Singh. Have you given thought on adding a voice assistant like Amazon Alexa?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, we are connected tech and we're a technology first in our product thinking. We are looking at multiple ways of doing that. I mean, on the mobile app, we're definitely looking into one such things. I mean, that is definitely going into our product portfolio. We have
Uh,
given it a thought to answer the question. Yes, and
okay.
it is in the, we are just see it just all these things are readily available. There's nothing like we are trying to but how do we blend it into a useful feature is what makes us makes any product company, whether it's automotive, non-automotive, to get it to the real market. So voice
That's
assistant is
actually very
absolutely
true.
useful,
Yes. Yes.
absolutely useful in your home devices and everything, right? But when it comes to vehicle, now the use cases are now getting limited. So we will see if the feature comes, right, we would definitely have it.
Um, okay, after I said thank you, there were a couple of questions. So I
No,
think
no, no
10 minutes.
problem.
I
We
was
have
thinking
another
15
5 minutes.
seconds.
No, no, we'll wait
Yes,
for five
we have
minutes. No
5 minutes.
problem. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
We have a question from Ria Gupta. For a first
Uh-huh.
year Formula Student Electric team, how can we implement a real-time telemetry in the vehicle? I think that's
For
a
the
very
first year.
broad question. Uh,
Yeah, and it's a broad question. Yeah. I mean, as a pointers, right, you can look at something like IoT, IoT connected, IoT systems and IoT connectivity. Second thing is that if you are looking into technology, if you want a technology direction, then probably you start looking at MQTT. And how you look at what is MQTT, how could you do use an MQTT protocol to build that telematic system, which is cloud connected. So probably this would help.
Okay. I got another broad question for you. This is
Sure.
from Shivangi Srivastava. It says, hello,
Mhm.
sir. Could you touch upon how you decide whether to include innovative features in the vehicle while having the challenge of added complexity, more individual systems, etc.? I mean, do you have an example that you could share that would narrow down this thing? I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a good question, by the way. It's a broad question, but very, very good question. In my slide deck, when I was going through, I explained about the analyze module and I explained about rider behavior. So this is absolutely complex problem. When I was talking about that slide also, I spoke about, think about 12 modules sending 100 parameters, 150 parameters each one of them. And all of that are sending at a frequency of 5 seconds. And all this data is going into your cloud. The complexity is absolutely real time. I mean, it sends about GBs of data every day. Each of these vehicles could send easily like a few hundreds of MBs to GBs of data. What we think, again, during that slide itself, I touched upon this point, saying that you should see what are those useful information data points, what you could take out of what is being sent from the vehicle, and you should be able to parse it. And that is where your the product thinking comes into the picture, where you are able to identify what are those useful information points are, and then you could really reduce your complexity. The only complexity you would have is to how to analyze it and get useful information. Yeah, I think I probably answered that question.
Yes, I think yes, you have. Uh, let's wait, I guess, 30 seconds for any question to come up.
Sure. Yeah, we
Teams,
have
if
a couple of minutes.
okay. Participants or those are in our audience, if you have any questions, please post them up because we will be um, ending this session in 2 minutes. There is a buffer between Zoom and YouTube by 20 seconds. So at
Yeah,
this
okay,
point,
I know. Yeah,
questions still refine. So okay, I guess that is it. Fine then.
all cool.
All right. Thank you so much, Ram, and thank you to
Yeah,
Aether
thank you so
Energy.
much for the opportunity, and it's really nice. And I mean, I couldn't see, but I could hear the questions. I know there are lots of people who are interested in it, and feel free to drop an email to us, and we would be able to
Okay.
answer any of these questions. Thank you so much for
Great.
the opportunity.
Great. Thank you so much. And to those who have joined
Thank
us
you.
in today, please do not forget to like and subscribe to our page to follow more informative videos like the one Ram presented over here as well. Have a good evening.